I'm going to show how to replace the M12 type lens on one of these Amcrest IP cameras. This one is a IP3M-HX2 B. The B is for black. And this should work for all the cameras that are this form factor with the hexagonal surround for the lens, which stock one is pretty wide. I think it's less than 3mm focal length. So I'm going to replace mine with a 6mm lens from M12lenses.com. But if you Google M12 lens, you'll find all kinds of options. And so let's get started. The body of the camera splits into two, and the seam line is right there. The screw holes, it's got two screws holding everything together, right there and there. So just need some tweezers or something sharp to get the rubber stoppers out. There we go. See if I can get more light. I think this should be better. Okay, so you got the stoppers out. And then once those are out, you need a small screwdriver. It used to be pretty small. I think I've got this set of precision screwdrivers, and see, that one is too big. If you go down to the next, you need a Phillips head, obviously. Yeah, that one works. But those screws are in there pretty tight. I think it would be very easy to strip these accidentally. So make sure you apply enough force that it's not slipping out of the head of the screw. Oh, there we go. I think these may be unscrewed, but somehow it's not coming apart. There we go. So once the screws are out, you can, so what the screw looks like, it's very tiny, easy to lose. I got the QC sticker. I'm gonna get this other one. Make sure this other one's unscrewed all the way. Yeah, so there, you just have to stick your fingernail under, pull off the front, and there will be wires. All the hardware is attached to that front side. And it's got a couple different layers of circuit board, and then the speaker is on the back side. Now, I don't use the speaker, so I'm just going to disconnect it. Well, you'll have to disconnect it anyway in order to work on this thing, unless you want to keep holding the back part of it. I don't even worry about reconnecting it. If it was easy to remove, I'd just remove it and throw it away. But now the next step is to remove the circuit board, or this whole assembly, from the front. And there are two screws, one there, one there. So use that same screwdriver. These are self-tapping screws, so they're not easy to get out. Make sure these are, the casing screws are out of the way. There's one. These seem to be the exact same screw as the outside ones. That is pretty difficult to get out. I'm going to use a different screwdriver. I'm going to use this one that has a bigger grip, so hopefully I can get enough force. There we go. Okay, so that should come out. Yep. And then there are two wires connected. This wire is for the infrared light. So you can see it's at the top of the hexagon. And then this one is for the microphone. Now, you'll have to disconnect. You can disconnect the light from the board on this side, or you can disconnect it from the camera side. So I'm just gonna pull. You're not supposed to pull on these cables, but if you stick your nail under the thing, you might be able to get it out. Tweezers might be able to do it too. Not as easy as it could be. Kind of using this flathead screwdriver is probably the best way to get this out. So, yep, there we go. Just pry it up and try the smaller one. And then do the same thing with the mic. The microphone is more, that's the one I'm worried about, because I'd imagine if you did damage to it, your sound quality would suffer. I'm kind of twisting the, there we go. So now this is off, and you can see the M12 lens right there. So I'm going to get my other lens. This is my new lens. It is a 6mm. It's kind of cloudy just from humidity. So you can see it. It's quite a bit longer than the existing lens, so we'll see if it fits. This is a weird kind of thread design. It's got two sets of threads, but you can also, here's something interesting. So this is a 6mm lens. I believe it's supposed to be f1.4. Now, what that means is that the aperture, which is the hole that the light actually goes through, is 1/1.4 times that 6mm. So if it was f2, the opening would be 3mm. F1.4 should be about 4mm, because 1.4 goes into 6 about 4 times. That's the thing you can actually measure, because it's not the physical opening, it's the apparent opening through the front of the lens. So if you look into it, you can see the hole, and you can take a ruler and you can hold it up to it, and you can see, you can try to see what it, how many millimeters that is. And sure enough, it's 4mm. And if anyone says that's a bunch of BS, do not believe them, because that is how the aperture is measured on traditional photography lenses. Now, the next step is to actually get this one out. So it might come out if you just, it's glued, the threads are glued, and it won't, twisting will not get it out. So I need to get pliers. I'll use these electrical type pliers, and I'll just put this this plastic to protect the lens. Even though I don't care about this lens, this is probably good practice anyway. And it takes a decent amount of force, but once you break the glue, it'll come out fairly easily. There we go. There's the, you can see this is a very tiny aperture. I believe this lens is about 2.5 focal length. The field of view is supposed to be like 160 or 170 degrees. The opening is only 1 millimeter, so it's from like f2 to f3, something like that. So it's not that great at gathering light. Now you take your, you can see the sensor in there. You can even see that it's a 16:9 sensor. There's the sensor, there's the lens, and you gently screw it in. Now the next step, actually, I just want to see how far I can screw in there, and I'm not sure if it'll be able to focus, but you might have to experiment with different lenses to get the results you want. But what I'm hoping is that I can use this lens with like the front hexagon in place. So let's just hold it up to it. See, there's the sensor, and is it gonna fit? Yeah, it does fit. Now it may not be able to screw in far enough to get a focused image, but you know, that's where the experimentation comes in. And you can find like the back focus, or the, I can't remember what it's called, but the distance between the back of the lens and the sensor and things like that. But I've had trouble finding that information. And then you're still limited by the thickness of your housing, regardless of what camera you have. So it generally takes trial and error, but you get it on there, and then you set it up to whatever viewing or recording software you have, and then you can experiment with the focus. You turn this in and out just like you're manually focusing a DSLR lens, and you look in your screen and you see how focused it is. So first I'm gonna put this back together with the assumption that it will be able to focus. Put the screws back in place. Oh crap, I forgot to plug the wires. Oh no, I have to unscrew this again. I'm just going to leave this off until I assemble it. Make sure these are facing the right way. You can tell by where the holes are on the plug and the socket. Back in there. Yeah, I think that's right. So the pink faces the inside on that wire, and then the red on this one is at the top for the microphone. And let's see. Goes on there with the screw holes lined up. Oh. I'm going to reassemble it. I will leave this speaker unplugged because I have no use for that. I'm not going to talk to anybody through it. It just snaps back together. And then once you're sure everything's good to go, you can screw it back together. Look at that beautiful piece of glass.